statements then.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
Josiah, any thoughts on this?
Question.
Otherwise, we'll go to...
how many of those statements would you need to see?
Exactly.
The only thing I was going to add to this is
how
that...
many... go ahead.
Can we get an answer to Avi's... Wait, can we, let's do Avi's first, and then we'll go to Josiah's question. So Avi asked, how many more, right, of those statements would you need to see?
Yeah, like, is it 5, 10, 15 statements for someone to be a Nazi?
Well, it doesn't... Who cares if he is a Nazi or not? I would say
that's not an answer to the question.
No, it's a perfect...
Wait. I'm curious. Wait. Hold on. Wait. I'm curious. Do you think that Kamala Harris is a Marxist or a communist?
No.
Do you think her father is a Marxist?
I don't know anything about her father.
Okay.
So back to my answer. I think it's perfectly reasonable, given the information that I know, and I guess most people know, is that he is unqualified for office. And I think that's a perfectly reasonable statement.
That's what we're talking about.
That's what I'm talking about. I don't care. Who cares if...
But we're the
one
ones
might be an actual Nazi. At some degree, he might be an anti-Semite. Who cares?
We know you don't care.
No.
We know you don't care about anti-Semitism.
No one cares.
Sorry, you think people don't care about anti-Semitism?
No, I don't think people care that everyone has to agree that he's definitely an anti-Semite.
No, I'm asking, do people care whether or not factually he is an anti-Semite? People care about that. I care about that.
No, people care if someone might be an anti-Semite.
Whether it might be, I don't even understand.
But we don't care if they are an anti-Semite.
I didn't say that. Who said that? Who said that?
Avi was ridiculing you and saying it's preposterous to think that we care if he maybe is an anti-Semite, but not if he is.
That's the standard. No, because how do you prove someone is an actual anti-Semite based on their posts?
Apparently their statements don't count for anything.
Yeah, apparently we can't look at
my
words.
God. Okay, try your best to get out of your bubble and listen to me. When someone says some stupid shit about Holocaust, does that mean they are anti-Semite or Nazi?
It can be.
Holocaust.
Okay, it can be. That's my argument. At what level?
But here it's very clearly.
At what level? Hold on. At what level statements are they definitely?
Okay, hold on. Here, this is a red herring conversation. Here's the issue.
It's not a red herring. This is their conversation.
No. It's a red herring conversation because in life, all right, you don't.
That's my point.
No, in life, you don't gather enough information to make a conclusive, beyond a reasonable doubt statement about any person. But you still make decisions about them, assuming these things.
That was my answer.
Yeah, but what the question is would you assume this person is? Not are they 100% definitely? Because
that was their question.
Yeah, but we're obviously speaking in the context of how would you assess this person politically, right? Like if I could show you I could show you a statement of a guy saying I am a neo-Nazi and I support Hitler, and you could say, well, it could have been that somebody put him up to that, or somebody logged into his account, or it could have been that he was having a psychotic break or whatever. These are all possible. I could never say with 100% certainty, but nobody is really operating in that context. We're saying, would it be reasonable for a person to assume that this guy is anti-Semitic, right? And I think that's a fair.
And hold on, what was wrong with my answer?
Well, when you say like he could be, I mean, you kind of have to have, when it comes time to making decisions, you kind of have to come down on a binary on like, are we going to act like he is, or are we going to act like he isn't?
Yeah, you're appealing to too much ambiguity. As a matter of fact,
I'm not appealing
to tweets right now. Wait, shut up. Listen, so about an hour ago, you said for now, you forgot to mention now that you're a bit more sane. But let's not forget, for the past 10 years, the left was openly racist, sexist, and anti-establishment. You don't get a prize for being the first party to turn crazy and the first to stop being crazy. So about an hour ago, you were perfectly content to tar and feather the entire left as openly racist, sexist, and anti-establishment. No benefit of the doubt there. But with Mark Robinson, you're appealing to, well, he might not be a Nazi.
That is such a stupid point. I can't believe you even brought that up.
No, it is demonstrating your inconsistency.
No, I'm giving you, that is a general argument, and this is a specific argument. How stupid can you be to mix those two up?
I love ridiculing your inconsistency. It's great to establish
a general argument versus specific argument is not.
Oh my God. You're going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
No, I'm not. I didn't give him the benefit of the doubt.
Well, he might not be a Nazi. He might not be anti-Semitic.
That's not what I said.
But the left is openly racist, sexist, and anti-establishment.
Well, if you want to go through the policies for the last 10 years, I'm totally fine with that.
No, the bottom line is
of course you don't want to go over it.
Content to make
and you're
definitive,
perfectly content to
statements
twist my
about
words
an entire
from a general argument to a specific one and pretending they're the same.
Mark Robinson.
Get out of here, bro.
Fun to point that out.
Get out of here, bro.
No, I appreciate that, Josiah. Brian, do you have any thoughts? Closing thoughts for now, and then we'll go to Fiery Patriot, who seems to be a patriot and he seems to be on fire, and we want to hear some of that
the last
fire.
thing I have to say is, I'm picking up another argument that the last guy said. The BLM riots. Another thing that might be bad on the Democrat side is Seattle Chaz, how it was handled. That's another.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad that but that like the thing is
another thing.
The thing is, I think that you can have some reasonable disagreements, and I don't know if Stephen will agree with me on like the best method for quelling a protest. And you could say that there are good faith disagreements on what's the best, but that's different than accusing, as I think was done, that what the desired outcome was additional anarchy, additional chaos, more lawlessness, that kind of thing, as opposed to trying to let things burn out in a smarter way. For example, that was kind of the argument for why Trump shouldn't use the Insurrection Act, right? And conservatives were making that argument that Trump was correct not to federalize the National Guard, not to invoke the Insurrection Act because he didn't want to inflame things. That was the argument that I think you can understand. And so given that, do you agree or disagree with Donald Trump's decision not to invoke the Insurrection Act?
Whether I agree or disagree.
Do you agree or disagree?
I'm ambiguous to it. I would have been okay
You're
either
ambiguous.
way. Yeah, I would have been okay either way. The issue is I have problems with the governor and the mayor not wanting.
But not the president of the United States who was presiding over these riots and who had the authority to call the National Guard.
Which one is better? Which one's better? The one where the state or the city calls for help from the federal government, or the one where they do it without the states?
The buck stops with the president. Agreed? Yes or no?
No. After my question, I'll answer yours.
What's better?
Yeah.
Wait, what are we comparing? What are we comparing right now?
I'm comparing the Seattle Chaz zone, how it was handled at the state and city level, how they refused to take care of that issue and refused help from Trump.
Refused help from Trump?
Well, he wanted to call the National Guard, but he didn't want to do it.
Wait, no, sorry. He didn't call the National Guard. Do you agree with that decision?
I didn't say that.
Do you agree with that decision? Yes or no? Do you agree with that?
I'm ambiguous with that decision. I don't care.
You're ambiguous. But why are you not ambiguous with respect to the
because the state and city
local?
should have called for help if they needed help rather than doing nothing. In fact, they were sued because they did nothing by the residents.
Yeah, but the president didn't have to wait for permission.
Yeah, he doesn't have to wait, but agreed. Isn't it better if they call for help rather than this?
I don't know what you mean. Isn't it better?
Is it more? Is it? You don't know what I mean by it's better.
No.
You don't think
in the context here, like, would I prefer it if they had called Trump for help
to handle the issue rather than doing nothing, where they get sued by their own residents?
What am I comparing it to? Trump unilaterally without checking in and doing it?
Correct.
Okay. I would prefer that they work in tandem as a team as opposed to always. But that's not the question I'm asking. I'm asking whether or not does Trump bear any responsibility for the chaos during Black Lives Matter?
No, that's more of a state and local issue. He might have some because if you wanted him to say, screw state, screw the city, I'm doing it anyway. If you wanted him to do that, then yeah, he would have some responsibility.
I don't even understand. So you guys make the biggest deal out of the Black Lives Matter riots, and I agree, they were big deals.
So you
make
agree.
them big deals. Wait, you make them big deals because there was a lot of property damage, right? Billions. You guys are saying this is a massive
and
issue.
loss of lives. Okay.
How is this not a national issue? Of course it's a national issue, correct?
It can be, yeah.
It was. Yes or no?
Hold on.
Was it yes or no? Was it yes or no? Was it yes or no? Was it a national?
I'm not going to answer.
Was it a national? Was it a national?
I'm not going to answer that until I give you that.
Why aren't you going to answer it?
Because this God's context.
Wait, sorry.
During the LA riots.
No. We're going to get an answer to this question. We're going to get an answer to this question. Do you believe that the Black Lives Matter riots?
This is a comparable example.
Do you believe the Black Lives Matter riots were a national issue? Yes or no?
It's more of a states, but it was so widespread that it could be construed as national.
Was it yes or no?
I just said it could be construed as one. Yeah.
It could be isn't an answer.
It is.
It could also not be.
It's just an answer you don't know.
In your opinion, was it a national issue?
In my opinion, do you understand that there's in federalism there's responsibility on both sides?
I understand that's not an answer to the question. My question was, do you consider it to be a national issue? Yes, no, or you don't have an answer.
This is a context for my answer.
I don't care about your context. Answer it first.
If something is happening bad in the state, it could be a national issue. Anything could be a national issue.
Was it, in your opinion, was it a national issue? Yes, no, or I don't know, or I don't have an opinion.
I just told you, it's both.
So it was a national issue. Fair?
It could, yeah. As I said, it's construed as a national issue.
Okay, so since it was a national issue, since it was a national issue, why don't you put any blame on Donald Trump for not solving a national issue?
Well, I don't put blame on him because I would say this: if they called for help and he refused, I would put 100% of the blame on him. It would be his fault, and I would say openly it was his fault. But they didn't call for help. They didn't. In fact, they said, no, don't come. They said, I don't want you to come here. So I would put the fault on them, on the state and local level. And the residents sued them for that, and they won on settlement.
So Trump should not have invoked the Insurrection Act, and he should have let the cities, in your words, burn.
Well, no. So you're giving Trump all the responsibility and none of the responsibility to the state and local government.
No, I'm just trying to follow your logic.
No. If you're trying to follow my logic, you'd hear
Yeah.
my argument that the local and state responsibility weighs heavier.
Okay, but Trump still has some responsibility, and he let cities burn on his watch.
If you feel that he should have called an insurrection,
Do you feel?
I just told you I'm ambiguous.
Okay, thanks. Fiery Patriot, any thoughts?
Wait, where do you stand on that? My assumption would be that the president has almost no responsibility there. That all the responsibility would be on the governor and the mayors. Unless maybe there was like an exceptional thing where a mayor or a governor was literally, like I'm abdicating responsibility because I want to watch the people die or something crazy like that. I would assume that all the responsibility is falling on the mayors and the governor there. No.
So my opinion on what actually happened is that Trump should have stayed out of it. I was fine with that. I was fine with how the governors responded generally. I thought that they were trying to do a less inflammatory approach, but that's not their claim, right?
No, hold on, Seattle. I'm talking about Seattle.
Hang on a second. Their claim, again, I agree that the governors should be given latitude to try to address it in the best way. I don't think that we needed federal involvement, except to the extent that there were federal type insurrections, like what was going on at different courthouses, that kind of thing. I think that there should have been a federal response to that. But just to be clear, I don't think that there was that the cities were burning in the sense that they're talking about, where they're all being destroyed, all that stuff, such that we would need to have federal Insurrection Act invocation in those contexts. But what they're saying is that these cities were completely destroyed.
It's not my argument.
Sorry. It is the argument you've heard before, what I'm saying right now, right?
But it's not one we're talking about right now.
Okay, but I just want to be clear about my position, is when conservatives say something to the effect of, or something approaching, hey, you let the cities be destroyed. If that's actually your opinion about what happened in BLM, listen, there was a lot of damage, there was a lot of bad things that happened, but if your opinion is it was so horrible that these cities were destroyed, of course Donald Trump should have stepped in. That seems to be a fair conclusion.
Oh, never mind. Hold on. I half agree. I 100% agree. So what Pisco is saying is actually, yeah, this is 1 trillion% true. If we truly believe, okay, and this is the claim that, okay, you conservative fuckers make, liberals never make. Well, maybe. I don't know. If I check your Twitter, maybe. But liberals in this country never, ever make mistakes. Every bad thing that happens when a liberal does something is because they're intentionally trying to have like the country be destroyed, or they're intentionally locking down people to steal their freedoms. I've heard this since Rush Limbaugh. You say this all the time, right?
That's great, but I would like
if it is the case, that's fine. I'm just for everyone else to hear. This might not be what you're saying, but if it is the case that governors or mayors were intentionally allowing cities to burn, then you've actually tripped the argument that I gave earlier that you agreed with, that the president then should actually step in. If it is the case that the governor is saying like, no, I want it to burn for political reasons, then maybe the president should step in and do something. So it can't be the case, but both these can't be true.
That
the president. Okay, sure, that might be yours. I'm just saying that people have said that like it was intentional. All of the damage was intentional. Yeah.
Okay, but not me.
Okay. Thank you.
But no, hold on.
You want to elaborate?
I want your rebuttal on my actual argument.
Yeah. What is it?
That Seattle was derelict of duty. Seattle.
Yeah, so as I understand it, there was a tactical retreat from a particular precinct that was done.
Just the zone.
Yeah, so that my understanding was that there was a tactical decision to leave a given police precinct and the immediate surrounding areas, and so as to not inflame tensions further, and so as to not engage, in escalating tensions. There was a decision to negotiate with the people in the Chaz zone as opposed to violently breaking up. I think in retrospect, a lot of people, including myself, I have to read into the decision-making process, have questioned the decision to abandon that precinct. Apparently it didn't come directly from a political leader. I think it came from like someone in the chain of command of the police who below that. And so that was a decision that I think was taken on the ground. And I'm not gonna defend that decision. I don't know enough about it.
There's no people making decisions on pulling out of the Chaz zone. I'm not talking about precinct. I'm talking about the whole zone, which encompasses businesses and residents, in which they sued and got settlement.
Do you agree, yes or no, that it started with an abandonment of a police precinct? Yes or no?
Who cares how it started? I care about how.
Do you agree, yes or no? Okay, then we're just going to stop it. If you're not going to answer questions, so we can establish what I just said. It's clear you're not understanding. It's clear you're not understanding.
You're not giving me a response.
So what happened? What I described to you.
Who cares how it started?
Okay, I described to you what led to the Chaz zone. You agree that I just described to you?
And my argument was about the Chaz zone.
Your argument was about the decision making in the chat with respect to the Chaz zone.
The Chaz zone, in which
no
one stopped it.
Okay, so you don't have a problem with letting the Chaz zone be established. Fair? You don't have a problem with that?
I don't have a problem with pulling out from the precinct. I have a problem with once the Chaz zone was established, nothing was done to break it up.
So you're saying that what they should have done is when the Chaz zone was established, immediately go in violently and clear them out. Fair? Yes or no?
Yes.
Answer a fucking question.
I just said yes.
Of course. That's insane. You're going to let people take over 600 blocks of Seattle? Of course you should. That's your city. You shouldn't let just some hoodlums, like let these people just literally just. They were putting
Trump should have gotten involved, right?
What?
Trump should have gotten involved. Yes.
The city
should Trump have gotten involved? Yes or no?
I think that the city should have done their job.
Should Trump have gotten involved? I'm asking a question, Brian. Should Trump have gotten involved?
Oh my God, yes. I would have preferred.
I'm asking Brian a question.
Yeah, can I just
Brian Thanos, not Brian Shush.
Let him finish what he wants to say.
Brian, I know there's two Brians. My bad. That's my fault. Brian Thanos, not Brian Shush.
Yeah,
I would have.
No. Don't none. I would have preferred. That's a weak fuck answer.
That's not a weak. That is an answer.
No, it's you avoid an answer. The question is, should he have gotten involved? Not I would have preferred it. Should he have gotten involved?
They both share responsibility.
So the answer is yes, he should have gotten involved. So the answer is yes, he should have gotten involved.
Yeah, I would prefer if he got involved. Yeah.
Brian Thanos, is your answer yes? Trump made a mistake not sending in federal troops.
I don't care.
You're saying against the will of the
yeah, just say yes. Who cares?
You should have just said fuck you guys and just
yes. Yeah, why not? Fuck you. You should have said fuck you.
Yeah, you just said that they let a city be taken over by hoodlums. So did Trump. Fair?
Well, you have a local police.
Just say yes.
I don't understand why you guys are immune to asking questions. Answering questions. Yes, he should have got involved.
Okay, you could say there's multiple people who had law enforcement access.
Should he have gotten involved? Yes or no? I mean, we can keep doing this.
I'm saying he could have.
I'm not asking if he could have. I know he could have. Should he have?
What do you prefer? How about that?
How about this? Just for the sake of argument, I'll say yes. But here, let me. I know that's what you want me to say, but here.
No. I want you to say your opinion. Steven wants you. Steven, what do you want? Do you want the opinion or what you want to hear?
I don't like the game. The reason why somebody switches, I did this with Asana, I've done this with so many people. If I were to say, do you think that a 15-year-old should fuck a 1-year-old? You're not going to say I would prefer that they don't. Would either of you answer that? Hold on. Let me try this. Wait, let me try this. Do you think a 20-year-old should have sex with a 5-year-old?
No.
Okay. Do you think that Donald Trump should have intervened in the Chaz situation?
I just said I prefer yeah.
Okay, so it's not a real thing. There's not a real thing that's being done here.
Okay, hold on.
Can I just make one point?
Ryan Thanos, answer and then yes. All right. And then you can ask me a question.
Okay, but real quick here. I mean, the entire point of the conversation was just kind of about, I think it's broadly just about ethics, like the ethics of Democrats versus ethics of Republicans. I don't know if you remember this. I'm going to ask this to Destiny and Pisco. This was, right during the height of kind of the BLM riots, where, like I said, where a lot of the mayors and governors were taking a very, laissez-faire approach. And then at one point, I remember there was like this big, segment from Don Lemon where he was talking about, focus groups. They were talking about polling and focus groups. He goes, hey, look, this law and order thing, it's coming up. It's not going away. It's showing up in focus groups. People are really not happy about all of these riots. And then within 24 hours, Joe Biden, who was running for president at the time, he gave a big, law and order speech. All of the governors just did a full 180. And what that tells me is they are willing to abandon all ethics in pursuit of power. It was never really about, we don't actually care about keeping cities safe. It was just about, I'm just going to do whatever I think is politically advantageous. At the time, they felt it was politically advantageous to, ignore all COVID protocols.
Should Trump have gotten involved in the Chaz zone, yes or no? Should Trump have gotten involved in the Chaz zone, yes or no?
You already said yes.
I didn't hear it. Brian Thanos, did you say that Trump should have gotten involved in the Chaz zone, yes or no?
I think everyone should have been involved.
So including Trump. So,
yes. Right? He won't say it. He won't answer it. Just to be clear, he will never answer it. Because he won't, because Trump has no responsibility. He will never answer the question.
Said yes. He said yes
no, he didn't. He didn't say yes. He said, I would prefer it.
Yeah, no. But let me add nuance. Pisco, you asked.
No. You're not adding nuance. Hold on. You're not adding nuance. You're obfuscating. You will not say Donald Trump should have intervened. You won't say that. You will never.
Yes. Do you want a very direct answer?
Yes. Yeah. Do you think Donald Trump should have intervened for the Chaz stuff?
Okay, I'm gonna tell you my stance on this.
He won't answer. He won't answer.
No, yes, I'm going to answer. Give me 30 seconds. Give me 30 seconds uninterrupted. You have a defined answer. I think that the first line of defense.
I can say your answer. You're going to say there are a lot of people that should have been involved, and I think that at some point, if the other people failed to step up and act, then maybe I would have preferred if Donald Trump would have come in and done something about it. I don't care about that. It's bullshit. You won't say directly, yes, Donald Trump should have intervened. You won't say that. I don't need the long bullshit answer. We've already heard it like 50 million times.
That's not a bullshit answer. Do you not agree with that? The first line of defense is the city, and then you have like a state National Guard, and if neither one of them get involved, yeah, you could send in federal law enforcement. I agree with exactly.
Yeah, but there was but there was a failure. There was a failure at the bottom two levels. Do you agree that Seattle and Washington failed to respond to Chaz?
I do. Why do you think there was a failure? Destiny, I want to point to this.
No, wait. If you agree that they failed, then why not say Donald Trump should have intervened?
Because of norms. Do you agree that we should just disregard with norms? Do you guys agree that we should disregard with norms?
No, that's a red herring. Nice.
That's not a red herring. It's a whole crux of our argument.
No. The question is, do you agree, yes or no, that Trump should have gotten involved?
Yes. He already said yes.
No, I'm asking Brian Thanos for a yes or no answer. Why can't he give it?
Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna give you my answer. My answer is, since the city and the state did not get involved because they thought it was politically advantageous not to, I wish Donald Trump would have stepped up and done
I wish. I prefer so many words to not
say anything. Did he make a mistake by not doing it?
What's up? Sorry, what was your question?
He made a mistake. He made a big error by not going into Chaz. Fair?
A big error? I mean, yeah. Sure.
Yes. Okay. So if sure. and if what you're saying is
hold on.
Wait. If what you're saying, this is my point. You can ask me all the questions you want. If your point is that the Democratic governors, mayors, whatever, didn't intervene for political reasons, the same is true of Trump, right? Trump didn't intervene for political reasons under your own framework.
Yes.
Okay, so then how can that be a distinguishing factor to distinguish Democrat governors and mayors and Trump in this case?
Because the responsibility doesn't rely with Trump first.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Right.
What are the norms? What are the norms when invoking the Insurrection Act?
I don't know. How can I answer that in a way that would be satisfied? The norms are you have to write. You write something out. You announce it. I don't understand what you're again about.
Let me bring in an example. LA riots.
Yeah.
That was considered an insurrection. Did the state call for help from the federal government?
I'm not sure the chronology on whether or not they asked for help.
Okay. Well, my understanding is yes, that they did it. Well, because that's the norms. The whole point where the whole point where Bush Sr. did not put in troops in the beginning was because he's waiting for help to get help, call for help from the state. He wanted that norm to be set. He didn't want to do it only by himself.
So they could have been killing thousands of people, and
don't put it hypothetical. I want the statement of facts.
But your position is it's unacceptable that this could have happened.
That is the norm. Yes, there's extreme circumstances where the norms could be broken. I'm talking about this.
This wasn't even that big of a deal, right?
No, that is. Oh my God.
Was it a big deal? Was Chaz a huge deal?
Yes, it was a big deal.
Okay,
was it a big deal to break norms?
It can be, yeah.
It can be, yeah. Okay, so that's an unequivocal answer.
Is Donald
yes or no,
Trump shy about breaking norms?
Break norms. Yes or no?
Yeah, why would we be thinking
yes or no? Yes or no? Was it big enough to break norms?
In this case,
yes.
I think that it would have been inappropriate for him to invoke the Insurrection
Act. You agree with me? You're arguing for no reason.
No. I am using. It's called a critique. It's called an internal critique of your reasoning. I think that he should not have invoked the Insurrection Act. I don't agree with that. But I also don't think I'm not bought into your version of this was.
So the Chaz Zone was not an insurrection.
Chaz Zone was an insurrection, in my opinion.
So then why would you say that you shouldn't do it?
That's neither
then
here.
Then why'd you get the answer
neither
that you
here
nor there? Then why would you get the answer that you shouldn't call for the Insurrection Act? Why shouldn't you do that?
Invoking the Insurrection Act shouldn't happen every time there is a definitional insurrection. Do you agree with that? Do you agree that
since it's so broad, yes, it can be, sure.
Okay, so then we have no disagreement, and what you just said is completely stupid.
No, we're going
to move on. No, what's the disagreement exactly? This is the last line, and we have to move on. We can't be stuck in your nonsense this whole time.
Your nonsense. You agree that Chaz is an insurrection. You first agreed.
I do, yes.
You first said that the state and local government were wrong in their decisions. They should have asked for help.
No, I actually didn't give an opinion on that because I don't know enough. I don't know enough about the chronology.
Okay, you did say that. Okay.
Yeah, I did say that.
But after you gave an opinion, fucker.
Wait. What opinion did I give about the response of the governors and mayors? Wait.
You said you didn't agree with their. Well, you said,
did I ever say I didn't agree with that?
Yes, you said in hindsight what they're.
In hindsight, I don't know about the precinct. A lot of people criticize it.
You said, they're open to criticism.
But I'm not giving an opinion because I don't have enough.
Okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
If you want to sidestep the answer, fine. Go ahead, do that.
Brian, that's Brian.
Yeah,
shush.
sure.
Brian,
Sure.
shush.
How about Destiny? How about you? Would you give an answer to that?
What was the question?
I mean, do you agree that the Chaz zone was an insurrection, and then the state and local government failed in handling that insurrection?
I don't know enough about like looking at local insurrection stuff. If I had to guess based on everything I've seen of it, yeah, I think that should have been violently put down on day fucking one. That would be my position on it. Just based on a little bit I know about it though. So.
Yep. Okay, we're gonna move on. Thank you to. But again, that doesn't. The fact that he says that also undermines Donald Trump, and that's one of the reasons why the BLM component does not land against Kamala Harris in this election. Is who was presiding over the country at the time this was happening? It was Donald Trump. And so just like you would if Joe Biden were in charge in the same period, absolutely criticize Joe Biden to the extent that he wasn't acting the way you thought. I think that it's fair if you're going to construe BLM as this massive, society destroying type situation. I think that you're going to have to put some blame on Donald Trump.
Tell me an example where I said that.
Yeah,
you're giving me some
done with your nonsense. We're done with your nonsense.
No, okay, that's what I thought.
We're done with your nonsense. Josiah, if you have any comment, otherwise we're going to fire.
Just as a quick thing, also something that might be comparable to Chaz. Do you remember the other BLM stuff, the Bureau of Land Management stuff? I think it was I thought there was one after the Bundy standoff, but what I don't want to say that's fine that you agree with that. I don't want to say with 100% certainty, but weren't conservatives mad? Wasn't a person killed there?
I don't care what conservatives say.
That's great, but we're not just talking about just you, okay? Obviously, it's about the whole political landscape.
This is my argument. I came in here to give my argument.
Okay, that's fine. I don't know what your argument was. I'm not talking about what your argument was. I'm not saying what you were arguing about, okay? I'm just saying that in general, my recollection of that was that conservatives were quite mad that a person, I believe, ended up dying there, unless there was another event that happened with the FBI and people trying to take over land later on. It seemed like the response felt a lot differently because those people were fighting against the Bureau of Land Management as opposed to in Chaz, fighting the city or whatever. But.
Yeah, I agree with that. And if we're not making specific arguments against each other, I would give the same generalized argument about the left.
Okay.
Do you agree? Here's a question, just a quick random question. Do you agree that that what the truckers did was essentially an insurrection in Canada?
Given enough time, yeah, sure.
Okay. Cool beans.
Really fast. Can you allow Destiny? Can you my brother Jay Thanos 24? Can you allow him to speak at some point?
Yeah, we can add him as well at some point. Okay. I want to go to Fiery Patriot, but first Josiah.
So I was just going to say real quick, just as a quick fact check, because Bob Menendez was cited earlier. Just a couple of things to note. Bob Menendez was indicted, prosecuted by President Biden.
How long was he in Congress?
Well, let him finish.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with my argument.
Let him finish.
Get through the safe.
Okay, fine. Okay. Then I'll just bring up the Santos. Santos was also did.
Yeah, let him finish.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
buddy,
they're 1-1.
Brian,
I'm breathing.
You will have a chance. You will have a chance to respond. Breathe deeply. It's okay.
Okay, I will. Thank you very much.
So he was prosecuted. You're welcome. He was prosecuted by President Biden's Department of Justice, and then in the days after the prosecution, 50%, more than 50% of elected Democrats in the Senate called on him to resign. And then after he was convicted, he announced that he would not seek re-election, and he did resign back in August. So the response to Bob Menendez was considerably more extreme from the Democrats than how Republicans have reacted to Mark Robinson or George Santos, for that matter.
All right, how long did they take to kick out? Unlike Menendez, they kicked out Santos.
Because he wouldn't resign. Because he wouldn't.
Yeah, sure.
Do you understand? Yeah, that's a pretty big.
And how long?
Right?
What was the timeline on both of those?
Menendez was prosecuted. I think the first indictment dropped in September 22nd of 2023, and then he was convicted. I think Pisco might have to correct me on this one, but it was earlier this year.
Yeah, it's odd how fast things go when it's Democrats being indicted. You get Hunter Biden and all that stuff. Yeah, but I just want to say it is very funny that he, in the span of Trump's legal woes, he was like indicted, convicted. We had the trial ready, and warp speed. Same thing with Hunter Biden, but with Donald Trump, it's it's just interesting that people accuse the bias of the Democrats and the DOJ. Yeah, okay, Brian, you're annoying me, and I'm gonna.
You're annoying me. You keep saying other things. I have nothing to.
All right. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know what his point was about Menendez, but again, the reason, like even the Santos thing, like, well, how long did Menendez stay in, and how long the Republicans kicked Santos out? That's because Santos wouldn't resign because he's morally inferior to even Bob Menendez. Bob Menendez at least had the good grace to fucking resign eventually after his conviction. Santos had to be kicked out of Congress. And there were multiple attempts to kick him out of Congress, but Republicans blocked it every step of the way because they didn't want to lose the votes. Again, so Brian, if you're listening, I hope you are. Accept that my party.
I don't think I can. I don't think you give me permissions to kick. I don't know, but it looks like he's still here.
What did you say?
Fine.
Sorry, I walked away for a second. I heard you were talking about like George Santos or something, right? Because that was my original point of like a Republican being kicked out for being unethical.
Yeah, we were talking about Santos and Bob Menendez and Mark Robinson.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Cool. Fiery Patriot, what are your thoughts?
Holy shit. Like when you first said my name, the topic was like 5 topics ago. Yeah. So I don't know. What I would say is that my response to this whole Robinson crap would be that it was released, obviously, literally the day before his last chance to drop out of the ballot. And so I would say that that's not enough time. That's not enough time to actually vet the information. That's not enough time to really, I guess that they maybe vetted the information as best they could. But I think this was a coordinated plan to try to kick him off the ballot. Right. And I think that's what originally we were talking about, isn't it?
Should he withdraw?
No.
Why not?
Why would he withdraw? There's not been. So he's been lieutenant governor this entire time. He's all this information has been available about him this entire time. People have looked into it, and then do you know Mark Halpert? He's a political strategist and a reporter, and he said that this information was released specifically accidentally a day early because they accidentally gave him a day to withdraw. But I think it was released that way specifically to get him to withdraw.
What I'm asking is, are the allegations in themselves enough that you think that he should withdraw or even resign?
Yeah, how is the timing relevant at all?
Well, the timing is absolutely relevant because if you think that you're a Democrat and you think that you actually love say Democratic principles, then you should have released that information as soon as you found it, right?
Yeah, but now that we have it,
anybody loves democratic principles. These guys are trying to win on both sides.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think anybody here would say there's literally a term for this. It's called for the presidential election. We call these the October surprise, right? The idea that you time releases to do maximum political damage. I don't think there's anything anti-democratic about that, though.
Well, no, but I mean it's anti the people, right? You're going to release that.
But so all of these elections have been in bad faith for probably 100 years at this point.
What?
Right. So this is obviously bad faith.
Let's examine that for a second. What do you mean the elections have been bad faith for 100 years?
People are not running to better the country. They're running to achieve
better themselves.
All right. I mean, if that's the definition
that's for almost every election, even coming down to state and city.
Okay, you're saying that the incentives are self-motivated for politicians. I don't think that you'd get much disagreement.
Fiery, can I ask you a question just to test your consistency here? See if you're being
potentially, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So are you a Trump supporter?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you support Trump in 2020?
Yes.
Did you think it was unethical for the Trump campaign to drop the October surprise about Hunter Biden's laptop to try to undermine President?
Oh my God! Then what's the issue here?
Wait, hang on.
Yeah.
The Trump campaign didn't drop the Hunter Biden laptop.
100% they did. Rudy Giuliani gave that shit to the New York Post.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bro, I've never voted for Trump, and I absolutely, and I'm going to vote for him this time. And I absolutely, of course, they did that on purpose. They're trying to make Biden look bad.
Yeah.
Right.
So
they did it, but they launched it early enough. It's like they launched it when they had it.
Wait. You do know why
okay.
it's called in October. Wait a minute. Hang on. Just let's be clear about this.
Okay.
And Pisco, you might have to refresh me on the timeline.
Sure.
But Giuliani had a copy of a hard drive with politically damaging information about Hunter Biden for months, right?
For months,
I mean,
yeah,
he
for
could
months.
have dropped it. He could have dropped it months before October. Why do you think he chose to drop it in October?
I did not know that. Yeah, I would imagine.
Don't you think it's fair to say that they dropped it?
Okay, yeah, it's fair that we're dumping shit on people as they're running for office. Okay, so that's fine.
Okay.
So the point is that people did these things, not
here.
when
It's okay. If it's okay for Republicans to do it, then even if I grant you the premise that Democrats did it here,
I would agree that it's okay for Democrats to dump this on it, but this wasn't Democrats. This was CNN. Is CNN a Democrat?
Reminds your point even further.
Right. Yes, they are. Of course they are.
Fiery, the last thing I'll say, real quick, Fiery, is that they also gave Mark Robinson 48 hours to comment before they released the file. That was the other reason that they sat on it. They wanted to give him a chance to actually.
Right, and he did schedule an interview, and he did release his interview with CNN.
Right.
Or not an interview, but a statement to CNN.
Well, they had I can't remember the guy's name, but he did appear like on a Zoom interview with CNN as they released the K file document. But they gave him time to respond, and that's why they said basically listen, we'll hold on to this for a second. We'll give you 48 hours, give you a chance to respond, but this thing is going live in 48 hours. And so he ran out the clock, said at the last moment that he would talk to CNN, but by that time they were already going.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, if you want to be perfectly honest, I think it's probably all true, and I think he's struggling to hold his seat now.
So why shouldn't he resign based on the nature of these comments and the disclosures? I mean, doesn't this?
Why shouldn't he resign? Yeah. Because there's nothing really that he said there that wasn't trollish or. I mean, I've existed in the game industry for quite a long time.
But he's the lieutenant governor. With respect, we're not talking about some schmuck on 4chan. We're talking about a guy who's the second.
Yeah, but why can't some schmuck actually run things? Obviously, Donald Trump came out as like a real estate investor and was like, "Yeah, I'm going to be president." Fuck
You're
it.
making my case for me. I would love for Donald Trump to resign from politics officially, but my question is,
he shouldn't though, because normal people aren't fucking saints. They're not
there's no legal moral standard to run for office. You can be a convicted felon and you can be in jail and be the president.
But there are things that people
that's how the Constitution's written.
There are things that
normal people aren't saints, and normal people aren't in jail. Normal people have.
There are things that people can do. There are things that people can do that where you would say they should resign. Fair?
What's that?
There are things that people can do where you would say they should resign. Fair?
Well, now you're probably not going to get me to agree on that because I think that
there's nothing anyone could do that you would say they should resign.
Yeah, I mean, yes, of course, yes.
Actually, yes, of course, there's nothing, or yes, there are some.
No. If you've already achieved office, and then something comes out that you've done something that is, reprehensible, then yeah, I think that yes, there should be. But if you're running for office, the people are going to decide, right? That's the whole point. This is a democracy, right?
So sorry, I asked the question. Is there something
dropping out of a race? You're saying?
No. Resign from office. Is there something that would come out about a particular person who's in office, who holds office, where you would say they should resign from that office? Is there anything that could come out?
Is it morally wrong, or are you saying they committed a terrible crime, or
anything
matters?
Is there anything that could come out where you would say they should resign?
If somebody turns out to be a murderer afterwards, then they should resign.
So there are
or a rapist, or they committed a violent crime, but if they said like ridiculous shit online, I don't think that they should. I think that
there are some things, right, Josh? There are some things that could come out about someone that you would say they should resign.
You're getting super broad here. So, I mean,
is that a yes or no? You said that. I'm just asking your opinion.
Hold on. No, I got you. I got you. I want to give you my opinion. Can I think about it for a second too, so I can
sure
give you a good answer? Yeah. So
that could come out about someone.
Is there anything that you can say online that would, during a race before you're elected, think that you should drop out.
Yeah, you're asking me a question. I asked you a question.
No. I'm just trying to. Well, I'm asking you. Is that the question you're asking me?
I'm asking you if there's anything that could come out about a particular person who holds office where you would say they should resign. If there's anything.
I would say anti-Semitism, but apparently Democrats are cool with that.
Is there anything
listen,
that could come out?
as a Jew, I would say that even an anti-Semitism. I mean, like, listen, you're
That's
just
not
saying,
what I'm asking.
Words.
I'm asking you a specific question. What
I got
can you repeat my question?
I'd say that it would have to be something like that I can't even imagine.
Is the answer yes?
No, I'd have to say the answer is no.
So there's nothing
that they could say online. Nothing.
No, that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking, is there anything that could come out about somebody where you would say they should resign?
Like I told you, if I found out that they were
that they could have said online 2 decades ago. By the way,
absolutely, yeah.
So there are some things.
If it comes out, yeah, of course. If it turns out that you've committed some sort of terrible crime.
So now we're getting more granular. Is there anything that someone could say? Of course it's granular. Is there anything that someone could say where you would say they should resign?
For me personally, no, I really don't think so. But I'm probably way too open-minded.
If someone said, for example, I love the regime of Adolf Hitler, I'm going to try to model my administration off of Adolf Hitler.
So at that point, the question would be,
I want to push back on you on this.
How did this person get elected if this is what their thoughts are? Or you're saying that they hit this and then they came out of nowhere and said, I love Adolf Hitler? Even still, you could say I love Adolf Hitler. And I mean,
they shouldn't resign.
As a Jew, like, I'm not going to feel good about it. But am I going to tell you have to resign?
I mean, this is incredible. So you're saying Mark Robinson could take the podium, come out, look the camera in the eye and say, I love Adolf Hitler, and you say he shouldn't resign.
I don't think he'll get elected.
No, that's not what I'm asking. I'm saying Mark Robinson could do that. Mark Robinson could come up to the podium and say, I love
anybody
Hitler.
could do it. Yeah, Kamala could do it.
I know, but I'm giving you a specific situation. He could come to the podium and he would look in the eye and look into the window of your soul and say, I love, and I'm going to try to.
Well, here, wait, to be clear, wait, you're trying, hold on, Pisco, you're trying, hold on, no, this is a waste, hold on. Pisco, you're trying to find some standard where he would advocate for somebody resigning. It sounds like this guy just doesn't believe in resigning ever. That's what it sounds like he's saying.
Well, I want to really push him, though, but you're not letting me push him.
It has to. Like words, I don't think that there's much that you can say. I mean, look, dude, look.
Wait. What would be an example? What would be an example? Assuming somebody's not breaking a law, what would be an example for when you think somebody should resign?
If they said that, like, if they came on stage and said, "I love fucking little kids."
No. Okay, wait, no. When they're not like talking about breaking a crime, or
what's that?
When they're not talking about committing a crime or breaking a law.
If they've had like ridiculous ideas that are stupid. Yeah, I don't think that. I don't think that
they could literally come out and say,
"I
support Nazism," and you would say, "No, they shouldn't resign. That's crazy. Why would they resign over that?"
I wouldn't say it's crazy. I'd say that's crazy for him to say, but I wouldn't go so far as to say he needs to resign immediately.
Okay, I disagree with that.
Other people would. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I'm probably not as sensitive as that, but I could totally understand why somebody would want them to resign that way. Like that, I understand that wanting to, but for me personally, my view and understanding of American democracy and freedom of speech. But though also I believe that.
Wait. What do you think? Hold on. I'm sorry, real quick. Wait. Because you said
you're going to agree with me. Relax.
No, I don't care. I don't care. Actually, I just want to ask a question. What do you think freedom of speech means?
Well, so that's what I was going to say. I was going to say that I think that politicians should have limited freedom of speech.
Well, okay.
What?
So that's a whole other thing.
What?
Right? I think we should have much more control over the politicians than we do.
So if
their finances as well as what they say.
If Kamala Harris, let's say Kamala Harris is elected, and then she says, "I'm a communist," fooled you, should she resign?
No, maybe there's a way to impeach her from there, but no, I mean,
why would you impeach her?
Well, no, I'm saying maybe there's another way to get somebody out that way legally.
Should she be impeached?
But me asking her to resign, what is that like? I don't understand. What does that mean?
Should she be impeached for saying, "I'm a communist"? No.
There's nothing that you can say to get impeached for. Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Yes, she should have. No, she shouldn't. Sorry, I heard
because she has dumb ideas does not mean that. I mean, she got elected. If she comes on and fools everybody, if she sends the troops into the cities and like shuts us down and shuts down all public businesses and acts on her stupid ideas.
But a public position of being an avowed Marxist, Leninist, communist is not sufficient for either you to call on them to resign or for them to be impeached.
But when you say call on them to resign, you're saying just like me express myself?
Publicly, they should resign because she came out as a full-on Marxist communist.
But that's stupid. Like, would she come out and say that and then resign? Of course not. So, like, what does it matter for me to even have that opinion?
He's not asking about the efficacy. He's not asking about the efficacy.
No, you're asking me if I would call for somebody to. I would never call for people to resign. It's a stupid idea.
Yeah, that's
Like-
what I mean. He doesn't believe that anybody should ever resign. That's what he's. That's so,
No, that's not what I'm saying.
yes, that is what you're saying. You don't believe anybody. You don't believe anybody should ever resign.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
It's literally what you're saying.
It is what
That's
you're saying.
literally what he's
You're
saying.
asking me if I should call for them to resign. That's
No,
different
no
than
one
them
can.
resigning.
No one is asking if you personally should call
said
for
it 3
somebody.
times.
No,
He just asked me 3
no.
times.
He,
Okay,
but he's trying to get at. Do you think this should be the case? Right, that somebody should resign. That's what he's saying.
When you say them resign, that's on their volition. So do you think that she should decide to resign?
Okay, if somebody murdered somebody, should they turn themselves into the police?
If somebody, yeah, of course.
Wait, no, wait. Why wouldn't you say that's on them to do it? Who would murder someone and then turn themselves into the police?
That's why we have.
No,
police
God, you guys are
detectives,
actually
because
so
people
bad
don't
faith.
do
No,
that.
you guys, do you realize that how hardcore you're obfuscating right now because you're so fucking petrified of answering a single question honestly because you're so politically mind fucked, right? You understand that question is the exact same as the other one. When somebody says, "Should you call for the resignation of a person?" Nobody is asking if you, whatever, should go on your Twitter account and tweet, "I am calling for the resignation of XYZ." And you know this. I don't even know why I'm explaining this to you. Because that's how normal human beings talk. That's how normal humans talk.
No, it's not. We're having conversation here, and you're asking specific questions, and I'm trying to give you specific answers.
I asked in multiple ways. I also asked, should she resign?
Right. Should she resign? Yeah, I guess. But
okay, so should Mark Robinson resign?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we agree.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous because I can't imagine
Mark
that he would get
Robinson
elected.
should not resign.
Well, if he, I can't imagine that if he get elected, if his whole platform is all being a hardcore right winger, religious, everything that he is, which I've just learned about this guy yesterday. So I don't know much about him other than the few things that I've read about how he's like hardcore right wing. He loves or he hates transgender, but he's online saying he loves tranny porn. Like that's absurd. So you would hope that if he's a intellectually honest person, which he's probably not, because there's no politicians that I can see that are
he should resign.
honest anymore. Yeah, he should probably resign. But should I call for him to resign? No. Is he going to resign?
Wait, why wouldn't you call for something that should happen? I don't understand that either.
Well,
why would you not publicly call for things that
because it's retarded. Like you can't call.
I don't think me calling for him to resign would do anything. Maybe if people were close to him, if his family called. What's that?
You don't think public pressure could do something? That's basically how Joe Biden got out of the race because there was public pressure and people were calling on him to step down.
Was there? I thought it was more political party pressure. I thought, but again, maybe
it was both.
Well, it's all a feedback loop, right? The reason that there was political party pressure was because there was public pressure too.
Fair enough.
And
they were threatening to go
public. That's a really good thing. So the most powerful man in the world withdrew from an election. It stands to reason it's at least possible, in theory, for Mark Robinson to drop out if there was a sufficient amount of public backlash.
If that's the premise, but I don't think that's exactly how it went down. It seems like the Democratic political party has a lot of control at the top, and that's one of the reasons why the Republicans are so crazy because they don't really have any control and they're letting Trump run things, whereas the Democratic Party seems like they have much more control and they can decide who's in, who's out, all things like that.
Well, I don't want to repeat myself, but I just said that the reason that they pressured President Biden to withdraw from the race is because there was so much public backlash about his chances to defeat Donald Trump. That's it. Like if the public didn't care, why would Nancy Pelosi care?
I guess that's a theory. I mean, we don't know for sure, but it sounds like a good theory.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, I like it because I want to see more people calling on Mark Robinson to resign because I think that if you avow yourself at a previous point to be a black Nazi, and now the one thing you could say is I've changed my belief, right? Or I was just trolling, or yes, I said that, but whatever. But for him to lie about it, come on.
He's absurd. These guys are not intellectually honest. None of them.
Yeah. So if he had said this is one big joke, and if I actually believed him, which I wouldn't if he said that, then I could understand people be like, no, he shouldn't resign over a joke where I believe him. But no one seems to be doubting he said that, right? Like, I'm not hearing any mainstream conservatives or pundits or commentators say something like, oh, no, we don't actually think he said that. Everyone seems to acknowledge these are things he said, and he's openly and bald-faced lying about it. And that, to me, is a step too far. Okay. All right. Well, are there other conservatives in the... Oh, I see some. So I'm going to add... Oh, I see Rob Knorr in the chat. What do you think about this, Stephen?
I vote taking them all. Go for it.
To bring in Rob. All right, let's do it. Mr. Robert, are you in?
Yeah, I'm here. What's happening?
How you doing? Welcome to
This is going to be the last one. Ready? 33 minutes of the craziest in the weeds you've ever heard in your life.
No, I didn't hear much. Actually, I don't have much to say. I was actually doing some yard work. I just wanted to say one little question to Destiny, and then I did want to wish you all well on your show. I really hope it does well for you all. So, Destiny, my question to you is: it seems the theme of this show was like talking about standards of behavior based on the title. You said a lot of things that I sort of defended after the first assassination attempt, where I thought you were kind of going on tilt. Now we have a second assassination attempt. I defended a lot of what I thought were jokes that you were telling. I think you make a point that's pretty salient, that there are people that are on the right that make jokes when there's violence against left. So who are they to speak? The one issue, though, that I have that I would just see if you could have some clarity. We're seeing polling now suggesting up to a quarter of Democrats wish that or think we'd have been better off if that assassination attempt was successful. When Pisco asked you point blank after that first assassination attempt, did you want that bullet to kill Trump? Your answer was basically you paused, and then you said you didn't know what you could say on stream, and then you responded, well, the worst thing that could have happened was someone shooting at him and he lived. So I just want to ask you point blank. I know you don't owe me anything, but seeing as how it was Pisco that asked you originally, did you want Trump to be assassinated? And do you think, seeing as how there's so many Democrats that clearly do want that outcome, that you should be more forceful in condemning that if you actually don't believe that?
I said multiple times that I don't think anybody should advocate for killing politicians or anybody that is publicly protesting in the United States for any political reason. I don't think that's good ever. And I don't think we're at a point where we should be advocating for that ever. But I mean, failed assassination attempts are a boon for the person who is failed to have been assassinated or whatever. That is a political reality. That's true. I think that's a really bad outcome. And whether or not people are doing things that make other people think that they're going to take the country in a direction that would be catastrophic and would result in more harm than any individual being killed or whatever is an opinion that apparently 25% of Democrats have. It's not I don't feel much sympathy on the conservative side right now, given where we're at as a result of everything they've said. So.
But calling for someone's death is one thing. Saying, well, if it happened, I think that would be a good thing is another. So you're ready to say that you would clearly say, no, had Trump been killed, that would have been a bad thing for this country?
I don't know if it would have been a bad thing or not. I think that if you were to poll Republicans on whether or not if they think Kamala or Joe Biden being killed, I don't know where they'd be at, considering how many of them believe in satanic death cults or whatever, or QAnon. But I wouldn't call for anybody to be killed. I think that would be really bad. I think it would set a really bad precedent in the United States.
I think it would be a bad thing and I think that this deserves an answer, because just in terms of where the country is at, if you think that there's like a bunch of a split in the country and a lot of partisan, inner fighting, that kind of thing. And when you're in a situation where you have a lot of crazies, in my opinion, on the MAGA side, I don't think that it does anyone any good to have the democratic process short-circuited either by Trump or by an assassin's bullet. I think that's not good for this country.
Yeah, and Destiny, I think with you, I get the whataboutism. I get that there are people on the right that'll be psychotic and deep down would say, yeah, I want our opponents to be killed. It's certainly not me. I've been forceful calling against all political violence. But with you, it's like oftentimes I feel like you say something in the heat of the moment, and then later when you have a cooler head, you sort of walk back. So one of the first times I talked to you during the George Floyd riots, you said that rioting was the other side of the coin of voting. And as long as the riots were directed at public officials, you just thought that was the other side of the coin of voting. And now it seems that maybe that's not something you believe. And I think I don't care. I'm not blaming anyone.
Wait, when have I said that's not something I don't believe in rioting?
No, I think you seem to have talked back the riots of George Floyd. You've said, to me, you've said, how could you say that I was for them? I had so many people on the left that were furious of me for sticking up for Rittenhouse. So it seems like you've given a mixed message. I'll ask you point blank. Do you think that rioting's the other side of the coin of voting, as if you did the first time you talked to me about this?
I don't know if I said if I've ever believed that rioting is the other side of voting. I know that activism and protesting, and it can be rioting, can be another side of voting, that activist things like this. Somebody said, Destiny, you've already debated him on this and you already debunked it. Was that not my original quote? I don't remember what my original quote was.
I can put the
sure.
That's fine. You didn't debunk it. That was the original quote. You said that. But I'll leave you
he made the same accusation in that original debate, and you looked it up after. Justin, Just Brandon, can you type in my original quote then? I'm pretty sure what I've said consistently is that if people want to riot, I don't think I've ever supported private businesses being attacked ever. I don't think at any point at the height of my progressivism, liberalism, whatever I don't think I've ever supported private businesses being attacked.
I think that's fair, Justin, but he's not accusing you of that, I don't think.
Well, no. I don't know. But then I think I said, if you are going to protest, if you are going to riot, I think you can probably make arguments for rioting or being destructive of public property, because at the very least you're directing the anger and destruction or whatever at the public facilities that you feel have failed you. But I mean, in general, rioting doesn't work for a variety of reasons.
That would be kind of a case-by-case basis where you wouldn't necessarily agree as applied in a given situation if you didn't agree with that it were the right means.
Yeah, well, I disagree for several reasons, but not for the moral reason. I would disagree. One is because I don't think it's generally very effective, number one. Number two, I would probably disagree as applied because I tend to disagree on the issues that people are rioting for. But I find it really hard that, like, I mean, what's Finkelstein's favorite fucking example? Is Nat Turner's slave rebellion or whatever? I'm pretty sure they just went and they killed, like, innocent people there. Like, I don't think they were all slave owners. But it's harder in situations where there are insane injustices to where it's like, okay, well, fuck, maybe in some circumstances I can understand it. I've said in the January 6th stuff that if there was really solid evidence, if it was good evidence that,
you
like,
would be in favor of January 6th.
I think it would be incredibly queer as an American citizen to say that you have a principled stance against insurrection or something, given the foundation of our country. Like, I think that you kind of have to have that baked in a little bit, but it was going to come down to what the issues are. Yeah.
I just want to give some credit to Rob. I think that Rob is generally very, very against political violence, and I think that this disconnect has to do with a little bit of Destiny's, like, kind of being incredibly specific. I think Rob is saying at no point is political violence justified.
Correct.
That it's not exactly true that you would say that. I think that there are situations where you would envision it, but it's not useful to talk about them or to say anything other than political violence is never justified.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. But I think that Destiny's being, like, strictly speaking, precisely correct when he says, for example, and I think that I'm not even sure I disagree with him. Like, if the election were actually stolen, and we actually had, like, very, very, very strong proof of that, that to me, you know, isn't certain things justified, right? Don't you understand in the head of a Jan 6er, right?
No, it wouldn't be justified even in that case. There are certainly times in history, for every one time we could say that political violence was justified, there's 10,000 times that people have made that excuse and it wasn't. I think in today's world, because there are so many other options, that even if the worst things that people thought about the election was being stolen, I don't think that justifies rioting. I think morally it's not justified because it's a better chance to, or there's avenues for sort of fighting through the area of ideas and knowledge as opposed to physical violence, and also strategically it doesn't apply.
Wait, so was the Revolutionary War, was that justified?
Yes, but that was literally declaring war to separate ourselves. If the argument's going to be that,
well, then was the Civil War justified?
Yeah, it was violence, right? I mean,
well, again, I'll repeat this. Like, Piska already gave the answer to this. Yes, you could point to a few times in history where political violence was justified. The situation back then was vastly different than it is today. So we have so much more battles are fought through information now, not so much through physical violence. And the problem is, if I were to say to you, sure, I guess there's a time where political violence will be justified, every single person with an issue says, yes, and this issue is mine. Systemic racism. See, we can't go through the systems because they're all racist. Therefore, we're justified in violence. All the police are killing unarmed black men, so we could light the country on fire.
This is a huge pivot. I'm just curious. Would you agree then that the justification for the Second Amendment to fight against the tyranny of the government, that's a wholly unsatisfying answer?
No, because it's to prevent excesses from the government for where the government would come at you. Secondly,
but you would agree that every single time where the government come after you should never use violence, right?
No, not necessarily. Like, if you're defending yourself, that's different than proactively going and causing a riot. So, for example,
like political violence, then it would be kind of like a civil libertarian self-defense.
Correct. Okay. Right. So correct. So, like, if the government comes into your house to take your children away because you're practicing Judaism, yes, you have a right to use those arms to defend yourself.
Okay, but government wants you to leave your house, so they cut off all the utilities to your block.
Yeah, that's the kind of problem I'm having is, like,
it's more of that would be more of a case for self-defense than something such as, I think the election was stolen. And the problem is, like, and again, Destiny, get to the specifics of this, you may misremember what you said, and I sympathize with the fact that you're probably somewhat hyperbolic just because it gets more clicks, and I think it's somewhat in who you are. I'm sort of the same way, and you're speaking 8 hours a day, damn near every day. So you're going to say stuff that maybe flies off the cuff sometimes that's not the most wise stuff. But when I hear over and over, like the first time I talked to you, I'm saying things like, hey, maybe it's the conspiracy theorist in me, but I think that these Democratic mayors and governors are allowing these riots to occur. You say that's not a conspiracy at all. That's what's happening. And rioting's the other side of the coin of voting.
Activism. And
he did. I have the clips. I mean, he said that stuff. And then later when it's like, or we could have, there's a litany of examples like this where this stuff was said. And it only matters to me because I think some of your audience, just like some of my audience, just like some of Pisco's audience and, others, some of the audience is pretty impressionable. So like, I've seen people send clips from your Reddit, Destiny, that's like, well, since the Supreme Court basically made Trump God Emperor, we tried to use the legal avenues. So now maybe it's appropriate to go outside the scope of that. And I just think it's playing with fire. It's cool. You want to make jokes about Corey Comptoir? I think they fucking suck, but you have the right to do that. I'm not going to clutch my pearls over it. But when you're specifically asked by Pisco, not by Piers Morgan or someone you could give two shits about, but by Pisco, and you're like, but clearly you didn't want the bullet to kill Trump, right? And you're like, well, like, I think that sets a very bad precedent, particularly if your first spaces here is going to be about standards for behavior.
Listen. I first of all, I think the space is a little broader than that. Has to do with like, I agree. There's something about standards of behavior, but I do want to say, I agree, Rob, in the sense that I think the correct answer is it would be the worst outcome. But I don't think that we should conclude from his answer, which is a little bit more equivocal, and he was kind of thinking it through out loud in real time and trying to work it out in his head. I don't think that we should conclude from that he wanted violence to happen to Donald Trump, or that he would encourage it. And I do think that, you're going to find some crazy DGGers for sure. But are you going to find Destiny encouraging violence, political violence in his clips? I don't know about that either.
Well, let me be clear. The only reason I would agree to talk to anyone is I think there has to be a precursor agreement that we're not going to call for violence against the other or for their politicians, whatever. So I defended Destiny and think, for me, I have a bias that I stream because I'm entertained by it, and I don't want to talk to people that I think want me to be harmed or want to call for violence. So I gave the benefit of the doubt that that's not what Destiny was doing, and that's why I just asked for him to clear it up, because that was the only comment that I heard in the aftermath of that. Look, I think that I sympathize, as you know, Pisco, of conversations I've had. When Pisco asked me, Rob, will you say if Trump wins, you'll condemn him using FISA warrants illegally to spy on his opponents? And I say, fuck you, Pisco. I'm not going to owe you anything because you didn't say shit to my level that I thought was appropriate when that happened against Trump. So when Destiny says to Piers Morgan, I don't know you shit, when Piers says, well, you condemn it, I get that. I actually said that. But when you asked him, that's different. And that's the time that my eyebrows raised, where I was like, I'm still giving Destiny the benefit of the doubt, but I just wanted to hear it from his own mouth. Look, I was heated in that moment. Yeah, okay, maybe I was being a little jokey or whatever, but clearly I wouldn't.
I mean, I'll listen to this again afterwards. I'm just, because I can only read the transcripts. I can't listen to you guys are talking, but I'm just reading the transcript. That's, if any political change like this is fine. Like, that's part of the goal. Like, activism and riots are one side of the coin, and the other side is voting. Like, bringing awareness to issues like this, and attempting people to vote differently is part of the goal, right? So I can listen to this afterwards. It doesn't sound like I'm defending like violent rioting, burning down cities. It sounds like I'm talking, like, speaking broadly.
No, you specific. Let me be clear. You specifically say you're against the burning down of private property. I've never accused you otherwise.
Wait, what were you just saying that my quote was about then? Because that sounds
Your
different.
quote
About the precinct, about the police.
About the precinct. It's about the public buildings. You said there. You just read in that quote. You said that like activism and rioting's the other side of the coin to voting. And what you made it clear, you're not talking about burning down someone's private building or looting, but you are talking about the public institutions that were being attacked. And you said, yeah, that's sort of the other side of the coin.
When have I ever said? First of all, that's when you say, yeah, that's the other side of the coin of voting. Like, I'm saying that, like, yes, every time you vote, you should also burn down a police precinct or whatever. It's not. That's a bit of a false equivalency. But number two, wait, when have I ever said anything different to this?
But that's your quote. What did you mean by that then? What do you think you meant when you said rioting and activism is the other side of the coin of voting? What do you think you meant when you said that? Well, I'm
saying the coin and the other side is voting, like bringing awareness to issues like this, and attempting people to vote differently is part, and getting people to vote differently is part of the goal. If we're looking at it in a political calculus, I would have to listen to this.
One of like, I think, three ways. The first one is I could say that this is what happens when like voting systems are ineffective. That could be a commentary, like not necessarily a normative thing, but him just explaining what occurs in the absence of like proper, responsiveness to the electorate. He could be saying that it's possible to justify in certain situations, though maybe not necessarily in this one, political violence if there's a certain level of urgency or a certain level of, like he just mentioned, the slave rebellion. Or third, he could be saying, actually, I do agree that they should have burned down, or it was okay or not wrong for them to burn down the police building in Minneapolis. Of those three, Stephen, I guess which one would you most align with, or something else?
You know what? Give me like 2 minutes. I'm just gonna go listen to this. Hold on.
And let me just say, like, I think this is a bit of a stretch, though, Pisco. Like, for example, let's say you called into my show.
Okay, what did I actually say in this?
I think the riots will help Trump.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out. Like,
I mean, and I might have been like someone that they may have liked. I think this will hurt a candidate like Bernie.
Do you think that we're going to see some sort of response to what's happening? Do you think we're going to see some sort of legislative response?
I think that we'll see some lip service paid. It'll be like, oh, we started a commission that will look at police.
Do you think that this type of stuff is going to help or hurt Trump in his election?
I think the riots will help.
Trump. Yeah, I guess we'll find out what the polling everything turns out. Yeah.
I don't know though. And I can tell you right now that factors zero into my calculus. Like, I'm more.
Well, no, I mean that's really important. If stuff like this and Trump's response ends up making him less likely to get elected, I assume most of the people protesting or rioting even would assume that that's like a victory on their part.
I mean, that's outrageous though. If you're rioting for that kind of political reason, that's even worse.
I mean, when top down, when the only responses Trump has given is that when the looting starts, the shooting starts, or like quoting literally like racist.
That's what happens.
Literally quoting like a racist cop from '68, I think. Like that's not a good look. Like that's not a good way to manage your citizens protesting. Like when you're literally tear gassing people out, you can do a shitty photo op in some cemetery or church or whatever, St. John's Place or whatever. Like these are really bad looks for how Trump is handling things. And I'm sure a lot of people will be happy with literally anybody else at the helm but him.
I mean, I think that what you're saying gets to a truth of what a lot of people are thinking on the left, which they actually like these riots. And I think that this could be a reason. This is the conspiratorial nature of me, but this could be why people like de Blasio are like, yeah, go ahead, keep rioting. We're just going to give up parts of the city and I'm willing to accept the National Guard.
Well, I don't think there's conspiratorial at all. I think that affecting political change like this is fine. Like that's part of the goal. Like activism and riots are one side of the coin and the other side is voting. Like bringing awareness to issues like this, and attempting people to vote differently is part of the goal, right?
If we're looking at it in a political calculus and you're a Democrat and I'm a Republican, I will be happy to have that soundbite that you're admitting that de Blasio is allowing his city to burn because he thinks.
I don't know how much de Blasio is allowing the city to burn, but I'm pretty sure riots are being allowed to burn to some extent in every major city because you can't just send in the cops and the National Guards to destroy everybody and get everything. You have to let people like burn themselves out a little, right?
I just think that's outrageous. I think it's outrageous. Would you say the same thing about the Charlottesville protesters? Should they have been allowed to just burn themselves out instead of leading to a confrontation that actually resulted in some scumbag murdering someone?
I mean, not. They said my understanding is that this is how every single major riot plays out. That nobody has a big riot and they send in the police and just like crush it immediately. Like I'm pretty sure the Charlottesville protests were allowed to carry out. Like.
So what's the amount of days that it would go before you'd say, okay, well, maybe it's time?
I don't know, man, a few days. I mean, it seems like we're hitting the limit now where like people should probably like fuck off. Like it seems like.
Well, I mean, last night was pretty damn bad. That was what, day 5?
Sure. Maybe people feel like they need to keep going until like an actual concrete concession is made. Then I don't know. Maybe that's the goal. Like.
But what's the concession? Like when you start.
The concession might be the firing of certain police chiefs. The concession might be the passage of some legislation that makes a third body arbitration. I think didn't Obama have an initiative that he launched under the DOJ that would have given more third party oversight to cops that Trump disbanded? Maybe something like that coming up again, or maybe a changing in the rules and how police conflict is dealt with when innocent people or when other people get murdered by cops. I don't know. Like, there's a number of concessions I'm sure people would like to be made.
But look, if we're going to make the political point, well, Trump got rid of this concession. Also, a lot of leaders in the black community were adamant that they wanted prison reform under Obama, who wouldn't give it to them, and Trump did that. So it's
the type of prison reform that people wanted, the type of prison reform that is we got rid of nonviolent drug offenders, or got rid of like what do you mean? Like,
yes, that's what Trump's prison reform did. Was it perfect? Did he get rid of all nonviolent? No, but it was a damn step better than what was done under the previous administration. And leaders in the black community agreed. They might say, well, it wasn't just Trump, blah blah blah, but Trump's the one who signed the legislation, and by and large, leaders in the black community enjoyed that. So I mean, I don't understand. Like again, this has to do with this false narrative being pushed, where it's like, oh, we just assume it's about race. Like Trump's a racist Nazi. Trump's out there telling cops to kill people. That's not what's going on. That's the
Trump's rhetoric is absolutely inflammatory during this whole thing.
I don't have to answer. It's fine. I mean, it's inflammatory in the sense he came out immediately and he said that he thought that was outrageous and that his DOJ would be investigating. And then he said, if you like, we're not going to deal with these rioters. We're not going to let you riot.
Trump is like literally like on the phone telling people that if you. Am I saying this is what I want to happen? Or am I describing like the results of politics? I don't know if I have to back up more. Hold on. Now we're like people should probably. Yeah, I'm speaking very descriptively. Conclusions and solutions. We'll go back more, I guess.
I don't know though. And I can tell you right now that factors zero into my calculus. Like I'm more.
Well, no, I mean that's really important. If stuff like this and Trump's response ends up making him less likely to get elected, I assume most of the people protesting. Okay, go back. This is or not. If it's possible, it could be.
Okay, how about a large portion?
Too much of it is sure. I agree, of course.
And so, like, why would we like? It just seems. And again, what are we talking about here? Maybe this would be acceptable if we were talking about the actual truth. Was that unarmed blacks were being killed by police in the manner that I'm speaking of. But when we're talking about, well, actually, it's more about economic justice and stuff. And then the inverse argument's true of COVID. Well, no, we had to shut people's jobs down. We had to destroy the economy over a fear.
Okay, is that... Go ahead, sorry. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think we're kind of looping like my mushrooms.
Yeah, maybe time to end. But just if you don't mind, my name's Rob Noor. I got a YouTube show, Normal America with Rob Noor. You guys will probably all hate, but that's okay. Appreciate you all anyways. And regardless if we agree or not, I do really appreciate you having me on to talk. And I think that if we had more conversations like this, maybe it would mean rioting would be less necessary. So.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on if legislation gets passed, right? But
literally live right around the exact center between the spot where
I don't see how this is going to lead the political. I think it's a pure political. I have some opinions if you would like. Or the type of people that these riders would want to be elected.
Well, like, do you think
Sanders might have been like someone that they may have liked? I think this will hurt a candidate like Bernie.
Do you think that we're going to see some sort of response to what's happening? Do you think we're going to see some sort of legislative response?
I think.
Do I talk about whether or not this should happen, or?
At the narrative.
Well, so to be clear, those people are just upset because they don't want any violence or destruction of their own like neighborhood stuff. They're not against like rioting against like police officers, or it's not because they think that like police officers are largely innocent when it comes to racial biases, right? They just don't want people destroying their own neighborhoods.
Well, but just real quick, I don't think they want people. interacting with per capita per person. I don't think it's necessarily a race thing. I think it's if you're a police officer and you're more likely to be patrolling an area where there's violence, you're more likely to be involved in a violent situation, whether them supposedly is that they don't want to be doing it. And that's why I'm asking everyone with the platform to call people to do the right thing. These have been really political rallies where people come with Confederate flags and Nazi symbolism and call for violence. This is not appropriate in a global pandemic, but it's certainly not an exercise of democratic principles where we have free speech. This calls for violence, it's racist, misogyny. So people that were protesting her, she said, oh, this is bad, you're more likely to spread the disease. Compare that to the First Amendment right to protest has never been more important. In this moment when it's still bad.
Okay, hold on. So we've moved this goalpost like so hard. So firstly, she disagrees with these protests, but she agrees with the other. That's to bring up riots. City?
So how long do we have to leave these people riot before we? So at the exact same time, and this is why the context is important. At the exact same time, we're saying, well,
No, if we've had riots this severe since Rodney King. I mean, like the Detroit riots were fucking massive. Like there were tons of things like burned down in that. I mean, like the thing is that like if you're comparing this riot to like other riots that we've had over the past like 10 or 15 years, I don't think they've been as extreme as this.
Okay, so let's assume that's true. Why won't De Blasio accept the National Guard? If you're saying that they were overran, there literally wasn't.
Wait, what was the Detroit thing in reference to? Or did I fuck up? That's supposed to be L.A. for Rodney King, right?
Police to deal with this. Why wouldn't you accept the National Guard to help?
I mean, I don't know. Why did he say? What was the stated reason for it?
I have no idea. I didn't see a direct quote, but he said they asked him today, "Would you take the National Guard?" He said no.
Maybe he doesn't feel that they need it for the riots to eventually die out in their city.
So how long do we have to leave these people riot before we? So at the exact same time, and this is why the context is important. At the exact same time, we're saying, well, we'll just leave the property destruction, the people being hit by cars, the store owners being beat, the people being shot to death. We'll leave all that go. But De Blasio on the same day is like, don't you go out to the park and walk your dog. We'll send the police for that. It's insanity.
Because these are two totally separate things. Sending the National Guard or sending the police to fight rioters is going to massively escalate the conflict. This doesn't seem to be a case where the police can effectively just step in and with force take care of it. Whereas if you've got people violating social distancing or somebody cheating their taxes, this is... Should. What about should? Okay. I'm not even sure what the... Do we even talk about this? Do we even talk about whether I think there should be rioting or should be violence in this debate? Or wait, what is this? Hold on.
We're not going to deal with these rioters. We're not going to let you riot.
Trump is like literally like on the phone. Okay, then we do about. This is about. Okay, well.
Don't like either candidate really. Let's just say hypothetically. And I think one candidate, I'm like, it's bad. He's saying that Haitians are
what are you looking
eating
for?
cats.
He makes it sound like I'm
and on the other hand, I'm like, I think it's bad that they're literally calling Trump a Nazi lover and Hitler. Like, for example, the Fine People hoax, probably one of the most insightful, dangerous hoaxes in the history of this country. What would you really do if you thought the president of the United States literally was saying, I like Nazis?
He was literally equivocating, and you know this to be the truth, that there was no, and you're going to point to like one hearsay person, that there was no confirmation that person is there. The notion that there were fine people on both sides is an incorrect notion, and the fact that he gives a self-serving cleanup statement afterwards is par for the course for Donald Trump. And so
He did not. Look, how many speeches did he give after Charlottesville where he referenced it?
Where he referenced fine people?
How many speeches did he give?
I have no idea how many speeches he gave.
Since you've apparently bought the hoax, he gave 3 speeches. He gave one speech, I believe it was the night of or the night after. And in that speech, he said, much like you hear Democrats say anytime there's an assassination attempt, which seems quite frequent against Republicans at this point, they'll say all rhetoric needs to calm down on both sides. And we love this country and hate doesn't apply. We won't accept
it when Dems do it, right? You hate it when Dems do it?
No, not necessarily. I think that what I hate about the Democrats is they consistently blame right-wing rhetoric when a right-winger does something, but when a left-winger does it, they say both sides need to tone down the rhetoric. That's been the standard since the Gifford shooting, and then we saw the Steve Scalise shooting. All of the Democrats during the Gifford shooting said, Bernie Sanders was fundraising off of it. Right-wing rhetoric is making it so it's not even safe to walk down the street as a Democrat. And then when a Bernie supporter shoots Republicans in Steve Scalise, all of a sudden when Nancy Pelosi's asked, do you blame your rhetoric? She goes, how dare you? She yells at the journalist. How dare you imply that? In fact, it was Trump's rhetoric, we were told, or Republican rhetoric that was responsible for the Republican ball field shooting. And the difference is this is coming from people in positions of power. Yes, Trump's in a position of power, but overarchingly, these institutions such as journalists, etc., they repeat this rhetoric, which is fine. I'm not blaming them for stochastic terrorism or anything. But how can they get on their high horse then and blame Trump and couples for his rhetoric? So much so we have Lester Holt the day of another Trump assassination attempt, and his monologue that day is...
What is this? Hold on.
We can agree peaceful protests are great. You said the riots were legitimate.
I said that rioting against public institutions is legitimate. If you want to burn down a police precinct, or like a cop car, flip a cop car, whatever, that type of stuff is defensible. But attacking like other businesses and other people is not acceptable.
Okay, but we can see the majority of the buildings being attacked.
What was Rob's original claim that I was even saying here? Because I feel like I asked him, wait, are you saying I supported rioting against like private business? And he said, well, no, you never said that. What was his original claim even that we even disagreed with? Because I feel like my position on this has been pretty consistent throughout all of time and space, no? I don't know if we know that right now. I don't know if we know the majority of rioting is been against businesses or not. It's possible it could be.
Okay, how about a large portion?
Too much of it is, sure. I agree, of course.
And so, but why?
Okay, I do say here that too much rioting has happened against private businesses. Okay. Businesses or not. It's possible it could be.
Okay, how about a large portion?
Too much of it is, sure. I agree, of course.
And so, but why would we, like, it just seems, and again, what are we talking about here? Maybe this would be acceptable if we were talking about the actual truth. Was that black
going on crimes would have that are trying with Haitians. There were public. Let me finish. There were public claims of people that were publicly claiming in town council meetings and elsewhere on social media that there were pets that were coming up missing and possibly being eaten by Haitians. What happens is Trump takes something that there's no one gives a shit about the people of Springfield, Ohio. No one. You didn't. The Democrats didn't. Harris didn't. Biden might, but he's just concerned about eating ice cream.
Trump does.
He's at least talking about it. His team's at least talking about it.
Hold on, wait. Why? Just because you care? Wait. Why would we ever think that repeating claims made in a city council town hall thing or whatever? Why is that acceptable?
Why not?
Because you have no evidence. Because you have no evidence of them, right?
Well, no. Like, I think I agree with you. If we're talking about best possible practices, it's difficult to say anything until you have definitive proof.
No. Hold on. You generalize that so much. Also, wait. Hold on. Before I go down this road, just real quick. What was your claim that what I had said in this debate or whatever that we had 4 years ago?
I said that you said some of the following things. You said that rioting was the other side of the coin of voting. You admitted at one point I said,
so
I think it was...
So at the end of this debate, I'm saying that like if people feel like their voices aren't being heard and they're trying to get legislation passed or whatever, that like activism and rioting might be the other side of that. I don't think in this debate you ask me about riots and what they're going on, what's happening right now. Like 3 minutes before that quote, I tell you that there's been way too much right now, that there's been like the riots against private businesses aren't okay. But I'm just describing...
Right. You keep going back... Let me be clear, Destiny, for the millionth time. I have never once, to my knowledge, ever accused you of saying riots against private property was okay. What I was talking about was it seemed that you were delineating, which is good. It is bad to riot against private property, but you seem to be speaking in the real moment, like day 4, whenever we had this discussion of the Floyd riots. You were like, well, sometimes rioting's the other side of the coin to voting. Now that seems like an equivalent, and you're like, clearly I don't mean the private property.
Wait. But when I say it's the other side of voting, this is basically the equivalent of that MLK quote, that rioting is the language of the unheard. That, yeah, if people feel like, and that's what we're talking about, because at the end of this, right after, I ask you, like, well, do you think legislation is going to get passed? Do you think that people feel like their voices are being heard? Do you think something's going to change or whatever?
Mm-hmm. But so it sounds to me like you're giving some sort of credence to the idea that the writings will accomplish something good, or that there was
they
justification.
Can accomplish something, yeah, they can. But I mean, we all agree with that, right? Writing, whether it's good or bad.
All right, fair enough, right? But it seems that you're giving some sort of lip service to a justification of riots, saying, well, maybe it'll get legislation passed.
I explicitly said earlier, though, that the rioting that's happened so far, there's been too much. It's not good. I explicitly said
against
that
the private. You were talking specifically about the private businesses.
Sure, but I don't know. Correct. We don't go over any explicit like attacks against any public infrastructure here to see if I agree or disagree with it.
In a world where we both understand, like, for example, this is coming right off 2-3 days after the burning down of a police precinct. When we're having this conversation and you are the one who brings the delineation, you're like, well, clearly I'm against rioting of private property. The obvious inference there is you're differentiating private property from public property. And then when you go on to say, well, sometimes it's the voice of the unheard, or it's the other side of the coin to voting. It seems to any objective person that's listening, it seems that Destiny's saying like, well, if you have to riot to get your voice heard, at least make it against public things, and sometimes that can raise awareness.
Rob, this is a 2-hour conversation. If you have to infer that much from one comment, you're probably in the wrong. Right? So like this is a 2-hour conversation. I don't know if I ever justify any individual attack. I think I just say, or I know I do just say, because I just listen to all this stupid shit. At the end, they're like, yeah, activism and rioting are the other side of the coin. And historically, in the United States, yeah, there have been activists and there have been riots or whatever. I don't know which ones I would support or which ones I wouldn't. We can go over specific details. We don't go over a specific one in this conversation, but it's a 2-hour conversation. Why would you take where I'm just describing at the end that people riot or whatever because they feel like they're going to have legislative changes or whatever as some kind of justification from me for why riots happen? This is a thing that happens.
Because if you ask me to condemn violence from like Charlottesville, I'd say absolutely I condemn the violence. I wouldn't say, well, any violence against private individuals would be wrong. However, sometimes violence the other side of the coin to voting.
Yeah, but do you ask me? Do you ask me?
Get some legislation.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that in response to. Do you condemn the firefighter or the whatever police thing from me? I didn't say that in response to that. Do you even ask me in this debate to condemn or to have a stand specifically on the fire or on the police station?
I don't know if I use the words I'm asking you to condemn, but I'm clearly talking about the riots that we see happening at that time, which
Yeah, but wait, if you say you clearly see the riots happening at that time, I say in here that, yeah, the way too much has happened. This isn't acceptable. It isn't good. But then we're talking about whether or not, funnily enough, a conversation we just had like an hour earlier, you were asking me like, why are they letting cities burn? And my responses in this debate were, well, I think that cops just can't manage everything immediately. You can't just send in a bunch of cops. Things will escalate. Like that's probably why it's happening. So it's not like I'm championing even...
You also directly said when I said, I think that these governors or mayors are allowing this to occur, you said, absolutely, that's not a conspiracy at all. That's what you say, correct?
Wait, yes, but I say that in that they're allowing it to happen because it's like part of the police tactics.
De-escalation,
yes, because that's what we argue about like immediately after.
I'll go back and look at the quote. I thought I specifically said that they were allowing it to occur.
I don't know how much de Blasio city burning, but I'm pretty sure riots are being... Okay. You said, I will be happy to have that soundbite that you're admitting that de Blasio is allowing his city to burn because he thinks... And then I say afterwards, I don't know how much de Blasio is allowing his city, but I'm pretty sure riots are being allowed to burn to some extent in every major city because you can't just send in the cops and the National Guards to destroy everybody and get everything. You have to let people like burn themselves out. Not a little, right? And then you said, well, I just think that's outrageous. I think it's up. Would you say? And then I'm just reading the transcript, so they're not perfect.
Okay. Yeah. So, and Rob, this is going to bring it back to the actual conversation. I appreciate that you're trying to like get a statement from Destiny in the past, and I understand people are frustrated because it's kind of turned into a cross-examination of his previous statements. But I would like, if we can, we're about to transition to closing it out. We're closing at 5, but here we have a situation that we were just talking about where there's a tactic that you're saying is deplorable, that is letting these things burn out or taking a kind of not immediately violent approach to some of these protesters.
Yes.
Didn't Donald Trump preside over this? Doesn't Donald Trump also face some kind of culpability for the BLM and letting it get out of hand? If you're going to say that it was deplorable to let these cities burn out, that it's a national problem sufficient for you to bring it up, 4 years later all the time, isn't it also his responsibility for failing to take federal action against a national problem?
Well, what was going on was, I believe I say in that quote with Destiny, I don't have the transcript in front of me, that I think that the Democrats are allowing this to occur because they see it as politically advantageous. My theory on that is they wanted Trump to be the dictator that they constantly claimed he was. So what would have happened, as you well know, is once he requested to send the National Guard in and all these Democratic places like in Kenosha said, no, we refuse to have it, they wanted him to then have an emergency declaration that would have forced it in beyond them so that they could have said, see, he's a dictator.
Wait, do we have is there a single statement from any lawmaker, anybody, anywhere, any kind of statement that even implies that?
It implies that they were refusing to accept the National Guard.
That implies that they were hoping he would do it so that they could showcase how corrupt he was.
Yep. Well, of course they didn't say that. I'm saying that that's my theory that what was going on.
You have evidence for that theory?
Yes, I have evidence for that theory because they allowed this violence to occur over and over again when they clearly had the police force. But no, he didn't. Let me finish, right? They allowed it when they clearly had a domestic police force. Then when Trump suggested using the normal means that you would use, which was requesting that they allow the National Guard to come in, they turned it down. For example, in New York,
why are you?
No, I don't read. No, I don't read minds. Though it is funny. This is coming from the group of people that think that Donald Trump engaged in an insurrection, claiming that they know when he was saying. Let me finish. Knowing when he said "be peaceful," that he really meant be violent.
Wait. Why would he refuse the National Guard? Why wouldn't the governor just say, "Fine, bring them in," and then say, "Look at what Trump is doing"?
That's a great question. Why didn't they? Because if they accepted the help, then it would be hard to call him a tyrant. But if he sent them in against their wishes, then they could say he's mobilizing the military against domestic people. These are people protesting against racism. And Donald Trump is a racist and an authoritarian who, against the wishes of local government, is sending in the military. That would have been the argument.
Well, but you'll never admit this, but this is an all roads lead to Rome fallacy, because if they would have allowed the federal government or they would have allowed the National Guard to come in, they would have only needed one bad thing to happen. And if one cop would have killed, one federal officer would have killed one citizen, then the Democrats would say, wow, look, the federal police are so horrible under Donald Trump. And then you would have said, see, that's exactly why they allowed Trump to mobilize the National Guard. Because they knew that at least one bad thing would happen. And now they're going to blame Donald Trump for it. Like, no matter what they do, you're going to say there was a massive conspiracy.
That's not true at all. That's not true at all. And in that world, like, it's very difficult to liken one bad person at the National Guard that takes a heinous action when he's been requested in by a Democratic mayor.
Hold on, wait. Just to check, didn't this literally exactly happen? Weren't there cities where there were National Guard people deployed and some people were quote unquote disappearing and people blamed Trump for it? Didn't this actually happen?
Yes, but it didn't stick as much.
You can't say yes, but that means that what you just said was wrong. How can you agree with both those statements?
True. That's not true, right? What happened was there were places that accepted the National Guard, and there were accusations that the Guard behaved improperly. But did it lead to some huge political calculus against Donald Trump, the likes of what it would have been if he would have sent the military?
How do you know that, though, Rob?
Obvious, and you can ignore and know.
Oh my God!
Again, not only that. I can even prove
it. I have a quick question to clarify. It's on the subject.
Rob, say something, and then just ask your question.
15 seconds. 15 seconds.
No, sure.
We actually have people in the military like Miley and others that were talking about optics being a reason not to send the National Guard in January 6th. The idea that they would have been okay with him overriding the wishes of Democratic governors and mayors if he would have sent them in is laughable. You know they would have made that criticism. You all personally would have made the criticism that meant he was a tyrant.
But you don't actually have. I want to let Josiah ask, but you don't actually have evidence that was their intent, other than the fact that they didn't request National Guard.
No, if you're asking me if I have the power to get illegal FISA warrants to spy on politicians I don't like the Democrats do, no, I don't have that.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so my question, because I could have missed it, but Rob, you were asked if Trump bared responsibility, if he had some sort of culpability, if he should have sent the National Guard in anyway, and I didn't hear a yes or no. Could you? He did.
He should have.
He should
sent the National Guard in. Absolutely. He should
have taken what they wanted, even though it was a bait.
Yeah. Yes, that's what he should have did. Sometimes being a good leader means that you have to do what's right, even if you know that it'll be used to politically attack you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of Trump's
favorites. That's the world Rob wants, and you know what? That's
no.
Whenever I show that.
You could go back. I'll say real quick. I said it. I lost friends over this because I'm more of like a small government person. And I had friends telling me, oh my God, what happened to the Rob that criticized excessive police with us marching in 2004, 2005 against things like the Patriot Act? I didn't want that. What I wanted was the rioting to stop. I wanted the media to put a focus on how terrible the riots were. I wanted the Democrats to speak up about how terrible they were. I didn't want Kamala Harris to promote a bail fund. I didn't want Democrats to keep saying, well, it needs to keep happening up to and through the election. I wanted local governors and mayors to actually deploy their domestic police force to handle it. But given that all of that wasn't occurring before Rittenhouse occurred, I said, you know what's going to happen? They're setting up the situation where it'll be like roof Koreans, where we're going to have Americans shooting other Americans. And I want that to stop at all causes. And so if that means temporarily deploying the National Guard as limited as possible to stop these riots, that's what should occur.
And that's what should happen on January 6th, right? So in January 6th, he should have not listened to, just like he should have not listened to the
Absolutely agree. I think that it would have been better for Donald Trump to not listen before January 6th when people like Miley told him not to deploy 10,000 National Guard. He should have went against his wishes, which you and all of the Democrats would have said was authoritarian and was, quote, a Reichstag moment, which is what Miley said. And I think even the day of January 6th, he should have gone against what his people that he put on the ground, such as the Sergeant of Arms.
Just to be clear, if he would have deployed them, yes, it would have been authoritarian. The reason that he gave was authoritarian. He said that he wanted the National Guard people there to protect his people. Just to be clear.
That's fine.
He didn't say no, because the National Guard isn't supposed to be deployed to the Capitol to protect rioters at the Capitol. It's supposed to be deployed to protect the Capitol. When Donald Trump said that he wanted 10,000 troops there, he said he wanted them to protect his people. So that would have been
the reason that he was the reason that he was saying that was because people like you on the left exhibited over and over again that when Trump and MAGA people got together for political purposes, oftentimes they were attacked by outside agitators. This occurred over and over and over. See Portland with the Patriot Prayer people that were constantly attacked. So Trump was worried that his people were going to come peacefully make their voices heard, and a bunch of left-wingers were going to come beat the shit out of them, and that happened over and over again. So he said, I want the National Guard there. The idea that had the Guard been there, they'd have been like, "Oh, we'll allow the MAGA people."
Pivot red herring. All pivots, all red herrings. Originally you said that you implied that he wanted the National Guard there to protect the Capitol for some noble purpose. He didn't want them there to protect the Capitol.
Where did I say the words noble purpose?
Because you said that. Well, you guys would have said that if he came there, it would have been for authoritarian reasons. I imagine the flip side would be, and that is if he's planning on having a protest there to protest the certification of the vote because he thinks the election is stolen, and he wants the National Guard there to protect his protesters who think the election was stolen, that's not a good deployment of the National Guard. That's exactly the type of situation that they were trying to prevent.
The Guard should have been deployed anyways. It was only because the downplaying and the false, I would say, intentionality of organizations like the FBI and other intelligence agencies that knew that there was likely to be some conflict there.
The FBI intended January 6th. That is your position, fair?
I believe that they, much like the Whitmer kidnapping case, that they were talking to people that they knew were inspiring people to possibly engage in acts of violence. They had people on the ground. They knew that it was going to occur to some degree. They facilitated that occurring so that they could use an excuse to crack down on people later, just like with the Whitmer situation.
And what's the one single example of evidence for this? One piece of evidence for this?
Well, for example, we can go to the testimony of Capitol Chief Sund, who talks repeatedly about how he requested the National Guard beforehand. He wasn't given
Nope. You said that the federal police, the federal agencies were instigating, that they wanted this to happen. I said, what's one single piece? Because there are hundreds of thousands of protesters that day. One single piece of evidence. Did it come out in any of the Proud Boys or the Oath Breakers testimony, any of their convictions, any of their court stuff? Was there any piece of evidence whatsoever for any of these people that supports the idea that the feds were operating here to instigate this event?
Yes. Ready? You ready?
Yeah, just one thing.
In those trials, did the FBI testify that they had regular contact with those groups such as Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, and elsewise, and knew that they were going to attempt to have an overthrow of the government? Yes or no?
No, I don't think they did.
I'm not aware of that.
Okay, so then what did they testify as such?
For what?
They testified. Wait. In which trials are you talking about? Proud Boys?
So I believe Oath Keepers specifically, right? Though it might have been with Tario and them and the Proud Boys. There is testimony to the fact that they had people that were aware, and there's statements that they've given, that they heard their insiders that were given, that they planned on possibly bringing guns, and they planned on possibly overthrowing the government.
What you just said. So the fact that they would possibly have rumors or they have information they would possibly bring guns, that's possible. The FBI, by the way, passed along a threat assessment to a general email. I forget which one it is. They were passing along threat assessments. And so I don't understand
now, what they did was, we know that Miley was doing his own intelligence and had intelligence that later came out that said that he thought that it was going to get the FBI had many threat assessments and many specific assessments. They only set a general one, and that was sent to basically
the DOD doesn't operate at the DOD relies on internal on the FBI and other internal police forces to get their information. General Milley, I think is who you're referring to. He doesn't have he doesn't have his own intelligence agency. He has to rely on things like the FBI.
He was doing, if I'm not mistaken, there were sort of intelligence that he was doing that he was aware of that he was sharing with Democratic senators before January 6th, talking about things that he was hearing from this intelligence gathering that suggested there could be violence that day.
Hold on, wait, stop. I just want to be very clear where we're at right now. I asked for evidence that the feds were instigating this, and this has changed to somebody on a Senate committee heard suggestions that there might be some kind of violence on that day. So let me go back to the original question. Is there any evidence whatsoever that feds instigated any of this? Any evidence of that whatsoever?
Now, I know you're used to this, Destiny, someone who's better than you, like Pisco.
He's not going to answer. Okay. He's not going to answer. So the answer to this is no.
Interrupting and jumping in. What I'm saying is,
I have to go.
Listen, I'll answer 30 seconds. If they were aware that this stuff was likely to happen and testify to it later, and they did not share that information through the proper sources, only did the bare minimum to the point where the person tasked with defense, Capitol Chief Sund, said he was shocked at how he got less preparation and less intelligence sharing for this than even normal protests that would occur at the Capitol, then yes, it would show the only explanation is they're incredibly derelict because they knew there was about to be a coup to overthrow the government, but didn't share the information sufficiently with the people tasked with
gotcha. Or they sure. And then what is your strongest piece of evidence that they had a really good idea that this was going to happen?
You could go to the trials of the Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys, and the communications
I've seen all the indictments and everything. I've seen like articles about the convictions. But what? Yes. So are you saying that in these trials, what did they testify to?
They had quotes specifically that they said that they had. They specifically said that they had human intelligence assets where people, I forget the specific term they used, but basically people that were cooperating with the FBI that was routinely contacting the FBI that was giving them these quotes that were then used as quotes in the trials of these people to suggest that there was pre-planning of basically coup or pre-planning of an attack on the Capitol. So if they had these quotes,
no. So to be clear, I don't think any of this is true. I think you're literally inventing all of this.
Well, I disagree.
Destiny, we'll have to leave it there. I really appreciate everyone. Listen, I know there were some bumps along the road. We're trying to keep it a little bit more calibrated next time. I appreciate Rob, by the way. Speaking, I like it when Destiny and Rob get into it. But yeah, appreciate everyone.
For years, right, Pisco? That's why you defended me on the Rage Quit thing. I said we've been friends for years secretly, yes, right?
We went to high school together, and we actually were in-laws, in fact, according to Destiny. No, I'm just kidding. Listen. Thank you so much, Destiny. I appreciate you hosting this. And again, we'll try to do more space in the future. We hope you like the content. If you want to see any changes, have any suggestions, please send me DMs. If you're a MAGA content creator or a conservative, send me DMs if you want to be included, because I have a lot of people, and I was trying to pick conservatives that I know because they're my reply guys. But if I don't have an indication of maybe what your political leanings are, we're trying to get people who think a little differently. Send me that, and please do give me suggestions on how better to run it in the future, because I want to improve. But again, thanks to everyone who participated, and hope to do it in the future.
Okay.
Much love, and see you guys later.
Love you. Bye. I left. Does that automatically close it? Jesus Christ. Wait, can somebody straw man, or not straw man? Can somebody steel man this Rob? What are the quotes that came out in the trials? I've never even seen this claim before. The idea is that the FBI had people on the inside, and that means that they could have instigated. Yeah, but there is no proof of that at all. I haven't seen any proof that there was anybody that was in active communication with the FBI, communicating what was going on with any of these plans. I haven't seen that anywhere. Didn't you read the indictment about 2 people not being mentioned that they think are informants or something? Sure, but that can happen after the fact, right? Time only moves in one direction. If I charge somebody with a crime and then they roll over on somebody else and then I start getting information from them, I can't go back into the past and communicate that to my past self, right? I think it's from a report that came out yesterday, new talking point. Oh boy. So how was the movie? Tune in next time, or this time actually. I'm gonna use the bathroom real quick, 1 sec.